everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I thought I would just hop on and show you what I've been doing on this page, a little bit of watercolour. You will hear children, they're just playing outside my bedroom door, my little 5-year-old and 3-year-old, so they're very noisy, so I apologise for the little voices, but you will hear them. So the book I'm colouring in is the Ken Matsuda, so I'll try and link this down below. I got mine from a UK seller, so no high shipping costs on this one. So I printed this. This is an actual reference picture of one of his paintings, which you can find in the back of the book, but rather than keep turning and trying to match the colours, I printed this out so I can put it side by side. And I've been using the Prima Watercolors. So if you're not familiar with them, these are the Prima Watercolors. You can get these on Amazon. So I've been using the Pastel Dreams set and the Decadent Pies set. And there's a lovely range of colours. This is the pastel set. I apologise for the state of it. It's really messy. I've been using it a lot. But these are the swatches for the Pastel Dreams. And this is a really messy one. This is the Decadent Pies set. As you can see, it's been used a lot. The white has been used a lot. They're a bit mixed up and a bit mucky and dirty. But they're brilliant, and the colours are just so good for matching up with this. Now, is this perfect? No, by all means it's not. I do not claim to be good at watercolour. But I thought it'd be nice to try and recreate this with watercolours. So I just thought I'd give it a bash. I thought I'd show you how I do it, because I think sometimes when you post a completed picture up on Instagram, people like to see how you've done it. Whether or not I think it's good or not, you know, people like to see. So the brushes that I've been using are the Princeton Neptune brushes. Now these are a more pricey watercolour brush, but I did purchase these when I was doing some original art. So I've got a size 12 brush that I used for all the tail, and then the finer details I've been using a size 4 brush, and they're both round heads on those. So I do have a little old cloth that I've been dabbing off on, so I'm going to keep it there. But I thought I would work on some of these flowers. I've just been adding some pink tones, so I thought I would do that. So I'm going to get my pink colours, try and get my pink colours in here, in shot somewhere. Oh, my kids are on fire today, really shouting, little monkeys. So I'm just wetting my brush. And I'm going to go in, which flower should we do next? I'm going to go in on this one here. So let's zoom in. Let's zoom in and get us in. Where are we? I don't want to zoom in too much and it go blurry, but I don't want it to be... Is that a bit blurry? Do we think, or is it okay? I'm going to start on this top flower. So I'm just dipping into this deep pink shade that I've got. I'm going to add a bit more water and dab it off on the side. And I'm going to start off on this petal, dabbing it off again. There's a bit too much water for my liking on there. But I've been layering up as well, so say I put a layer down and I find it's not as dark as I want it, I've been using my heat tool, drying it off a bit and then going in with a second layer. So this book is playing okay with the water. I have been using a lot of water, so you will notice that the page does appear crinkled a little bit. But what I will say is that when you stack it in between some heavy books, once you've finished the page, it should be fine. So I'm just going to use a lighter shade of pink now for this next bit. Just dabbing off again. I'm going to pop some here. I'm going to dip into my water to clean the brush. Leave it a bit slightly wet and then you can blend the edges out. Or if you want to lift any colour, you can completely clean your brush and dry it, and then you can sort of drag to lift colour off like that. So I'm going to add a little bit more pink, a little bit of green, what I've mixed up there for this next bit, and just add a bit of that muted pink tone down there. This bit here, I'm going to add a little bit of this pecan colour that I have. to add a bit more depth, and then we'll put some more pink on top. So cleaning my brush off again. I'm constantly dipping into the water and dabbing the brush off. So this is going to blend out now. Cleaning my brush off again. So there's barely anything on my brush, and just sort of buffing around the edges of where we've just put the colour. I'm going to leave that bit white. Also the details on the centre of the flower there, I'll pop them in at the end probably, but I've been using a sort of green type lime colour for those, so I've just dipped into it, and then if you just almost dot the paint into the centre of them like that, that's all I've been doing really. So let's do another flower. So this one has a lot of green on it, this flower, so I'm going to mix some greens up. I've been adding some blues into the green as well, just to give it more of a depth. So I've missed this leaf as well, so I'm just going to go in on that leaf there that we've missed out. But then bringing some more of this colour over into this leaf here. Going to really darken up some of the areas. It's just so much fun to mess about with it. You can just keep cleaning your brush off, adding water to get different tones, and I'm going to mix a tiny bit of pink into this at the top. Go in with a bit more darkness there in the centre and blend that in a bit. Oh, I think the kids have gone downstairs now, so you might notice it's got a bit quieter. Oh, the wild just after tea and before bed, when you've got that couple of hours, they're absolutely crazy there. Dipping into a bit of the blue there just to create a bluey green tone at the bottom. Might be able to see that, but I'm lifting a bit of the water off because it's a bit too watery. And I'm going to brighten up my green by adding a bit of yellow to it. I apologise you can't see me mixing the colours because I wanted to stay zoomed in on the image, but I am just adding some yellow to my green, and it gives it the really sort of lime tone. My son just came in then. I was expecting him to be honest. They always come looking for their mums, don't they? Even though Daddy's there. So I'm just going to add a touch more pink to the top of there. Blend it out a bit more. It's just about playing around with it until you like it. So I'm going to dip into pink again, add a bit more water. There's quite a bit of white left in this flower on the reference picture. You can see there's quite a lot of white areas left. So I'll put where I want my pink. Oh, the back upstairs being noisy again. Add a bit there, and then we're going to blend it out. So it will look bright to start with, but I'm going to clean my brush off, add some water and blend it out. I'm just going to add a touch of the deep pink underneath, just there. So I'm cleaning my brush, dabbing some of the water off, and I'm just going to go around the edges of that. So you can see it really softens it. Clean my brush off again, dab it off, and soften around this side. You can even merge the green and pink together. Oh, I've dropped a bit of water on that one, not to worry. Just suck it up with your brush. So I'm going to add a bit more dark tone of green into the centre as well. So as you can see on this, it's a bit darker than this green we've got here. So I'm just going to deepen it all up a little bit. I'm just sort of dotting the colour around. I'm going to clean my brush off and just clean that off there. Clean that line up a bit. I want to get rid of that I've just put up there. So cleaning your brush off, drying it off, and then you can drag the colour back away from where you don't want it to be. So if I wanted to darken that up anymore, I allow it to dry and then go in with a bit more depth, possibly around here. But for now I'm going to leave it. I'm going to move on to this big flower here. So I'm going to start off with the deepest pink, which is going to be around here. I'm just going to fill that in. So I am being very sloppy with this as well. You can tell that, you know, this is my first attempt at doing a full watercolour colouring page. But it's so much fun. I can't tell you how much fun I've been having. It's just amazing. So I'm going to add a little bit of this pecan colour that I've got into the pink to get this colour up here, and it brings that depth. Can you see that nice gorgeous depth in that colour? It's stunning, that shade. Absolutely stunning. That's from the Decadent Pies set, that colour. And then I'm going to go in with my pale pinks now. So I've got my pink colour mixed, dabbing it off on the side. Add a bit more water because it's a bit too opaque. Is that the right word? Just going to go in around here with this colour. Around here. Again, it doesn't matter that that mixes in with that. I'm going to add more water, dry off my brush and spread it out more in a second. I'm going to go around the outside of that. I'm going to add a bit more darkness into the centre, but I'm going to clean my brush off now. And then I can sort of pull the colour around. Wash my brush off again and do it again just to soften it. If you go over anywhere you don't want to be, like this little section here, wet your brush, dry your brush and just pull the colour away. But I'm using my clean brush now to just blend out the areas we've put it down. I'm going to blend out this colour I put here, just on the edges there. And use that little bit we had on our brush. You can even dip into it and use that little bit just to add in other places, just so it's not too harsh. I'm going to go in and find my lime green. I'm going to add a bit more lime green to this area. It needs to be brightened up a bit, I think. And then a deeper shade of green down here. Clean my brush off, blend it into the lime green. I'm just going to tidy up this bit down here a little bit. adding a bit more pink to this bit here. I'm just playing around. I'm seeing what I like and playing around with it. That's what it's all about. So I'm going to move on to another flower now. And I'm going to do this one, which is very pink, this one's very pink. So trying to be careful that I don't go over the lines. If you do, just clean your brush off and pick it up. Suck it up with a nice clean brush. I'm just going to go up to there with a pink colour. Now I'm going to clean my brush off again. Nice and clean. And the areas where I've left white, I'm going to pull this colour into it. And that's how you create your pale pink. Your nice sort of blend into that. Oh, too much water. Suck it up with your brush. I'm going out the lines, suck that up. It's very forgiving watercolour. Very forgiving. I'm going to put a bit of the pale pink around this area. You forget how much water these paint brushes hold as well. They hold quite a lot of water, so when you think you've not got much water on your brush, you actually have. I'm making that mistake lots and lots. Still going in with these pinks. Put a bit more darkness down, wash off your brush and pull it out to create a lighter shade. Now I'm going to go in with a bit more of that green, and I'm going to use this for the ends. And I'm going to pop a bit more around the base, about there. So next up, I'm going to go back in with more pink. I think all these flowers have got lots of gorgeous pinks on them. Let me clean my brush off again. Add some of that darker pink around the bottom. Clean my brush off, and then I'm going to pull that dark pink up a little bit. Again, I'm going to go in with some of my lime green for the centre. I think I've got a bit of blue what's run down there. I'm just going to try and lift it with my brush. Right, moving on. Going to get a pale pink for this little bit down here. Actually going to dip into some of the darker pink. Clean my brush off. Just add some more water to it. I definitely recommend giving this a go. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just fun, and it really teaches you about how the watercolour works as well. Dipping into some of the lime green round here. A bit more there. Even put a bit more in there, make it a bit darker. I'm going to deepen up this little pink area. And then I'm going to use my palest pink with quite a lot of water and just almost do like a wash around the rest, leaving some white areas. But also just making like a really pale pink mixed in with the green. So I'm going to go in with a bit of green in the centres again, randomly, and so a few where I've missed some on other flowers, add a bit more depth. Missed quite a few of these flowers in the centre. I think that might be all the flowers. I'm just going to add a bit more pink to one of these that I've seen. I want to add more pink to just there. And I'm going to put some more water on my brush. Just blend it up a little bit. And I think I might be happy with that. Also, I'm just going to I'm going to put some more green in there. We're in one of them little flowers. I'm very indecisive, but I'll show you the process. This is my thought process as I'm doing it. There we go. I'm just going to clean up his face as well. I was zoomed in on his face. Can you see how it's like, how there's like this dot here? Well, I don't like it, so I'm just putting some clean water on my brush, and if you just rub around with the clean water, you can disperse it. If there's anything like that after it's dried that you don't like, with your clean brush, you can just go over it. It's like some of these leaves, you can just blend a bit better with the clean water if you wanted to. Or I quite like some of the harshness. I quite like that harshness. But if you don't like it, you can just get rid of it. But I think I might leave that like that. I'm going to darken up this little area here. Can we see? Let me zoom out. I'm going to darken up this little area here and try and get some deeper purple. So I'm just going to mix a colour. I don't think I'm getting the right shade that I want here. Let me try and get some more purple. Add a bit of blue to the purple, see if that works. That looks like the kind of colour that I want. So I'm just going to go in. No, it needs to be darker. It needs to have a bit of pink tone in it, I think. Oh, that might be better. I think I've got the right colour here now, guys. So I'm going to suck that colour up that we didn't want. So get your brush, just suck it up. Dry your brush off. And you get your new colour. Yeah, that's a bit better. So I'm going to add it there into the corners. going to flick a bit down there into the tail. And then I'm going to add a bit of pink tone into this purple. Adding a bit of pink tone for around here. And then I'm going to merge it together. So cleaning my brush off again. Just going to clean that up a bit as well. I'm going to merge these colours with my brush. They're beautiful together, that colour. Clean my brush off again because I want this to, oh, bit of water there. I want this to come into a nice blend. I've just decided as well that I'm going to add a little bit of depth on these little lines here. I've just zoomed out so you can see the bigger picture, just for a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of this nice colour in there. Then clean my brush off and just blend it around a little bit and let that colour bleed. There we go. Now I'm just taking a step back, having a little look and seeing if I want to add anything else. I think I wanted to go in with a bit more darker green in the centre there. So I'm just going to mix up a dark green, because that should be dry now from when we did that. I'm just going to add in some darkness in some places on the flowers. Clean my brush off. Blend it out a bit. And there we go. I could sit here faffing and faffing till the cows come home, as the saying goes. But I was wondering whether to put in a bit of pink colour around the background where I've got all this green. I was thinking, should I add a bit of pink tone around there? And I'm not sure. What should I do? Should I? Maybe a really pale colour. So I'm going to go for it. I'm using my bigger brush for this one. So this is the size 12 round brush I'm using here. I'm just going to add some pops of pink. So really just going wherever, maybe even in the centre a little bit. Just sort of doing a bit of dabbing and a bit of circular motions around. You can even clean your brush off and use the water to go around. I'm just going to pull that away from there so it doesn't drip down the middle of the book. But barely any pink there at all. Again, I'm going to clean my brush off and just go around this edge here. I'm going to see if I can add some pink. Let me see what it's like on camera. Add a bit more here, a bit darker, and let that blend in, because the page is already wet now. You can sort of just let it run where it wants to run almost. darker around here as well. Add a bit more water. That's how you can get some texture into it as well, by dabbing. I'm just going to use my heat gun to dry it off a bit. I'm trying to keep my page straight because the watercolour will just run off everywhere if I don't keep it straight. I should have really taped it down, but you know. Last minute decision to film this. I was just doing it in my own time, and I thought, you know what, somebody might like to know how I've gone about doing that with full watercolour. So I thought it'd be quite nice to come on and just film it. But the paper is quite crinkly now, so you do have to be careful. Obviously I'm going to stack it in between some heavy books. Hopefully it'll be okay. I think that's drying quite nicely. There's a little bit of wet there. Possibly a little bit still wet at the side here. It does look quite washed out on camera as well. I think it's my lamp. It's taking a lot of colour out of it. Hopefully I can photograph it well later. But we'll see. I think on this one they obviously went for a darker background, which might have been better for me to do. I'm not too sure, but it's done now. I'm not mauling with it anymore. No more mauling. So I'm going to leave it at that anyway. It's still a bit damp in a couple of areas, but I'm just going to leave it at that. So I hope you liked watching the process of me doing that. So, oh, it's gone out of focus. So that's it. So the paints I was using was the Prima Watercolour, Pastel Dreams and Decadent Pies. And it was the Ken Matsuda page. And I can't pronounce the name of this animal, but it begins with an X, I think. Exolot something or other. I'm sure you can all tell me, but I haven't got a clue. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. Please do hit the thumbs up and drop me a comment down below, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.